Hello and welcome to Glimmer of Genius, episode 35. This is a podcast all about Magic the Gathering, bringing you the latest happenings in the MTG community. From news to tournament reports, deck ideas to MTG finance. We are Glimmer of Genius. A happy new year to you all. My name is Luke Vincent and I make YouTube videos. On the line with me is MTG trader Simon Wright. How are you doing, Simon?
I'm good, thank you for having me.
Have you had a good New Year's? I know you had a good New Year's celebration because you spent it with me. You lucky devil. But
playing some Gloomhaven.
Yeah, it's a good game. If you haven't played it, anyone, thoroughly recommend playing it. How would you describe Gloomhaven? It's like an RPG game, right? That's.
It's like Descent, but better, bigger.
But I mean, like, to people that might not have any experience of board games, how would you describe it?
I don't know people that don't have experience of board games. I don't talk to those sort of people.
Don't talk to those normies.
No. It's like D&D without the role playing. That's how my wife sums it up.
No, I like that. That's good. Sorry, the cat was making noises there. 2 seconds in, and I'm already on a tangent about awesome board games. But no, we're primarily a Magic the Gathering podcast, and there's been lots happening in the Magic the Gathering world. Primarily, Guilds of Ravnica.
No, we've had that.
What was this one called?
Ravnica Allegiance.
Ravnica Allegiance. I don't like that name. Ravnica Allegiance spoilers.
No, it's not great.
No. That's why I can't remember what it was, because it's not a good name. Lots of spoilers, and we're going to be diving into our sort of picks out of the spoilers, because there's been lots and lots of hype, as there always is every spoiler season. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit about Ultimate Masters and Simon's aggressive buying strategy.
Yeah, so not aggressive, but I was supposed to be getting a fair few boxes of Ultimate Masters for me to crack open. Crack 4, and then keep 2 to sell them later.
Sealed.
Yeah, to reduce the cost of opening the original 4. Unfortunately, our store supply got cut, so therefore my allocation also got cut, so I only got the 4. And I cracked them open, and it was alright. But my box toppers were 2 Goro's Vengeances.
You got 2 of the same?
Yeah, 2 of the same,
what?
Yes. An Eternal Witness, which is very nice. And what was the last one? I think it was one of the lands, Ring one, Vagrant Ring. So, not great, nothing spectacular. But yeah, so I was a bit disappointed with that. But I was like, well, technically I've still got like 2 boxes worth of disposable cash to play with.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went on a bit of a rampage buying up box toppers. And now I'm trying to sell off my masterpieces that I purchased this time a few years ago to cover the cost of these box toppers. Not having much luck, but I'm greedy on my prices.
Well, it is tough to sell them for the price that you feel like they should be going for.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think a lot of Magic players, especially an item like that, people love a bargain. And as I'm sure you no doubt experience selling cards, people always try and haggle, myself included.
Yeah, I don't mind that. It's part of the game. I could probably sell the ones I've got now for quite cheap and still make a nice bit of profit on it. But I've got the website due to go live next month maybe, and it's just nice to have those sort of things on there. Hopefully fetch them a higher price anyway. But I'm not in a real desperate need to sell them. Just trying to free up some capital to buy more box toppers basically.
Yeah.
Because at the moment masterpieces are quite expensive. Box toppers are cheap. Eventually they'll go up.
Yep.
If you pick the right ones. Not all of them. I sold some Tango Land expeditions earlier this week. They have not gone up.
I was about to say,
have not gone up.
I'm amazed you even found a buyer. That's impressive.
I didn't even go looking. Someone offered, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll just get rid of them.
Yeah, have them.
They might go up a bit longer term, maybe, but I was a bit like, yeah, I've held on to them long enough. I've got a few.
They're just not as iconic, really, are they?
They're just not played as much at the moment. Yeah, give them time. Yeah, it's just weird because what they you have to have 2 basic lands, don't you, to come into play untapped.
I suppose
it's not really done in Commander, which is why I see
there's so many better alternatives.
Yeah, so we're doing that. Great fun. Yeah, I might sell them on soon, or I might try and just keep them. Or probably it depends if they do another reprint of Ultimate Masters or not. But even so, the supply is going to be quite limited for these box toppers, and they are nice.
Yeah, they're really cool.
I really like them. I like them more than some of the masterpieces, really.
My question to you would be, though, sitting there struggling to sell masterpieces, however many years on now it's been, or what have you, are you not going to foresee the same problem? Because obviously the ideal scenario is the box toppers go up, but then surely that was the same school of thought with the expeditions and masterpieces, but you're not actually seeing that, so you're not a little bit kind of nervous at this point, thinking, oh, God.
No, they have gone up a lot. Not all of them. Some of them have gone up a lot. I mean, for the ones that have really hit, I could probably buy list them to one of the big companies for more than what I originally paid for them.
Okay.
So that's my final out. But as I said, I don't need to sell them.
No.
Some people consider them as like semi-reservist cards, and they're not going to be reprinted like that ever again. They will be unique. I'm not too sure about that, but different to your normal Magic card to hold value.
I'd be surprised if they reprinted them again like that.
No, well, even if they go back to like Masterpiece series, they won't be the same as the one they've already done.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. A pretty safe investment. Like you say, you're not in a position where actually you need to suddenly liquidate these.
No, I would have been I'd go a bit mad spending them, so it'd be nice to have a bit of extra cash come in. Hence why I started looking. But yeah, I'm in no real rush, so I can sit on for a bit longer.
No, decent.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a sure thing though. Like, when it comes to Magic investment.
No, Rudy would tell you. No,
no, he probably would tell you there was a sure thing and then ship you a load of his crap. But
don't you talk about Rudy like that?
Sorry.
I like Rudy because he makes me laugh. But
I think we had a discussion. I used to like a lot of his videos. They used to be quite meaningful. Now they are quite clickbaity and repetitive.
Yeah.
I don't really watch many of them anymore.
No, but I think with many things like that, in any kind of content creation, it's hard to keep things fresh. And if his thing is just being a bit wacky and funny, then fair enough. He's found his niche and he's got his little fans.
It's not even finding his niche. It's more just finding the algorithm to be a successful YouTube channel, isn't it? You have to be 10 minutes long. You have to grab people's attention. You have to have a flashy title. You have to cause drama. If that's going to make you 30 grand a month in blooming Patreon subscriptions, then why not do it?
Yeah.
What do we make from our podcast?
Well, yeah. I don't really have buying power of a big store like he does. Wouldn't mind a Patreon account, but I got nothing to offer people. That's it.
No, we don't offer anything.
No. Could do Patreon at some point, but that's another topic. Myself, I've been playing Golgari, but not the proper Golgari deck. I was playing that for a little while.
You've been playing fake Golgari?
Fake Golgari, yeah. Well, actually, I've been playing like proper Golgari. So like the Golgari that exists at the moment is just using the colours. Doesn't even have form memorial to follies. Whereas my Golgari list is the Undergrowth list that none other than Pro Tour player Gabriel Nassif has been writing articles about. And I was thinking about maybe giving it a go, and I saw he was having success with it with a different version. So that renewed my faith in it. At the time, one of the articles he wrote, he basically was boasting an undefeated record, or like lost only one or two games to Jeskai Control. And that is a pretty big player in the metagame, especially the winners metagame at bigger events like Niv Mizzet, coupled with dive downs, and then just control package with Deafening Clarions, Teferi, that sort of thing. I was like, well, obviously that's a good deck to be able to say you can beat consistently. So I've been sticking it out, and the deck is really sweet. It doesn't.
Right, what version are you playing?
So I'm basically playing a deck that only runs 2 non-creature, non-land spells in the main, and those 2 spells are Find Finality. The rest of it is all creatures, and it runs 4 Memorials to Folly, and it runs a lot of the Golgari creatures, so that you would see in the regular Golgari deck. So Wild Growth Walker, Merfolk, Explore creatures, Midnight Reaper, which is the one that you draw a card when something dies. I'm now testing out Doom Whisperer because I found I needed evasive ways to close out games, and he is definitely a way to do that. And then Molder Hulk, which is the 9 mana 6/6, which costs 1 less for each creature in your grave.
I'm playing the Molder Hulk version.
Yes. So I've gone down to 2 Molder Hulks and a couple of Doom Whisperers at the top end, because I found multiples can be clunky. I don't know what your opinion on that is, though.
No, more the better.
More Molder Hulk.
As long as you've got... I had a hand with 1 Stitch of Printers, 3 Molder Hulks, and 3 land. I went, yes, this is great.
See, that is a fundamental difference between yours and my versions, because I've moved away from Stitch's Supplier. I don't run any copies of Stitch's Supplier in my deck, main or side now. I'm running the 4, Glowspore Shaman.
Yeah, run those as well. Yeah.
I was running the Stitch's Supplier, but I've cut them all now. I'm running more of the Explore creatures, and yeah, I've just not had it, and I haven't. Since cutting them, I've not looked back, but it meant I've had to kind of shave. Originally, I was only running 3 Molder Hulks, so now I've gone down to 2 Molder Hulk. I'm also now kind of less on the Undergrowth theme, but what I've found is just the combination of Glowspore Shaman returning Memorial to Folly to the top of your library, Moulder Hulk returning to the battlefield. You just grind. Like, I played decks against Control where I've survived like 3 to 4 sweepers and just still like just drawn, just like continuously just like draw my threats from my graveyard and just outground them out of cards like every time, which is kind of what the deck's trying to do. You just kind of
I've basically played 5 or 6 games with it, but I absolutely love it. But you do have to mulligan hard with my version I found.
Okay.
You do need the pieces to make it work.
Yep.
But no, basically I've just built so I've recently, after the last couple of months, watching Koi Ballmeister.
Oh yeah.
Dropping bombs on the TCG for that. I quite like his videos, and basically when he builds a nice deck, I just go build that on Arena. So I started with Drakes. Yep. Then changed that to duplicate Drakes.
Oh yes.
Which is also great. I prefer playing that over the Phoenix Drakes.
Ooh, yeah.
Now I've bought his Black Green Zombies. This Moulder Hulk one. I love it. It's great. Great fun.
I do love Moulder Hulk. My favourite thing about it when I first started playing was the pauses when you cast a Moulder Hulk. As you know your opponent's just like reading what this card does and then goes, oh.
You got to make sure you play your Moulder Hulk and then sacrifice your Memorial to Folly.
Yep.
With it still on the stack.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, loving that.
Yeah. I really enjoy it. But people keep trading with you as well when you play. Do you play Midnight Reaper?
Yep.
Oh yeah. So when you play Midnight Reapers and people just always want to trade with you, you just go, I don't mind. This is fine.
Yeah.
Trade with me as much as you want. I'm just going to play some big fatties.
Yeah. Well,
for 3 mana.
I remember when my first experience with this deck actually was having that mentality of, I'll trade. I got paired against it, and I was like, well, what's going on? What is this? Glowspore Shaman? Why are they playing that? What the hell? And then it's like, okay, well, I'll trade for your crappy guy. And then you realise, actually, I don't want to do that. Don't want to be just like trading creatures, because eventually they just the game just goes on and you just get ground out.
How do you find Final Finality?
Find Finality is fantastic. It's really good against Control because you can overextend to the board on turns 3 to 4 if they're going to tap out and sweep the board, because then you can just pick up what they've killed. It's good to have against Boros because I take out all my top end against aggro or mono red on Boros, but I leave Find Finality in because it's a board sweeper. It's also good against Golgari because you get into these board stalls where someone will have a Wild Growth Walker on the battlefield and then cast Finality to make everything else die, but their Wild Growth Walker stays alive. So that's a nice thing to be able to do, is just wipe the board, but you keep your Wild Growth Walker alive. So yeah, I think it's I've never sideboarded it out. I tell you, actually, that's not quite true. I sideboard it out against Is It Drakes because it doesn't do enough.
Drakes.
Yeah.
Well, it's really kills all their Drakes.
I find the game doesn't go on that long. It doesn't work against
quadruplicate Drakes. No. It doesn't kill their bird makers.
Nope. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's correct to board it out against them. And the thing is, this is like I'm fully in favour of like playing the copies of them in the vast majority of cases, because I just think the card is so flexible in what it does. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm on the school of thought that you want to try and race the Drake deck. You want to be beating them down, because the ways I tend to lose to that deck is they stabilise, play a big creature and kill you in 1 to 2 turns.
Yeah.
2 big swings, or especially if they're Jeskai, they just gain a bunch of life with Deafening Clarion. That's it. So you've got to kind of basically make it so that when they play their Drake, you can either attack around it or it just doesn't matter. One thing I also like as well is Plaguecrafter against these Niv Mizzet dive down decks, because it doesn't matter if they have that 1 blue mana up. You're just gonna you beat the dive down and you beat the spell pierce. It's so good. Same with
I only run 1 Plaguecrafter in the main.
I run 3. Yeah, I just like 3 because the deck lacks removal. I'm also running a couple of the Harpooners as well, the little ones that kill the flyers.
Harpooners are great.
Again, especially against Boros, they play Healer's Hawk and then you play that.
Yeah.
It's just like, ugh. Right, so before we spend the whole podcast talking about this awesome Golgari deck, we should probably focus on some spoilers. So Ravnica Allegiance spoilers have been coming through, and there are some pretty sweet cards in here. Unsurprisingly, we got all the other Shocklands. I'm not going to talk about that in great length. I think everyone knew they were coming, and it's going to open up the playing field for a bit more deck building and some new cards as well, which I'm quite excited about. There's 1 or 2 in particular I'm going to start off talking about, because this is one you wanted to talk about as well, Simon.
So you're going to talk about it?
So I'm gonna I'll kick it off. You can talk through the card. It's the Planeswalker, the blue and white Planeswalker, Dovin Barn, or in this case Dovin Grand Arbiter.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about Dovin. Why did you want to talk about him?
I was told I should.
Yep.
I read something. Hang on, what does it do again? Hang on.
Okay, so while Simon's loading up Dovin, so he's 3 mana, 1 generic, 1 white, 1 blue, +1 ability, starts off at 3, loyalty, +1 is until end of turn, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on Dovin Grand Arbiter. -1, create a 1/1 colourless dot artifact creature token with flying and you gain 1 life. -7, look at the top 10 cards of your library, put 3 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Seems pretty good.
Yes.
It's weird. It's blue-white working with creatures though. He makes creatures himself.
Yep.
They're artifacts, so they work with Karn.
This is a testament to modern Magic though. If you think back to the control decks of yesteryear, they're all the spells were powerful and kind of a vacuum of fun. Whereas, as we know, more people tend to find creature combat and creature interactions much more entertaining and appealing as a general rule of thumb. And I think this, and if you think about Jace from Ixalan, he was a mono blue planeswalker and he made illusions and he gave you a benefit if you did damage to a player with creatures or something like that. So over more recent years we're seeing these blue planeswalkers actually kind of being more about maybe having some creatures.
I think Wizards have definitely stated sometimes they are looking for more creature combat. That's where the fun is. That's what people want to see.
Yeah.
Not just control of the spells. And you'll see it, like, more and more creatures that come with spells. More and more sounds like, oh, it's so-and-so on a stick. It's so-and-so on a stick.
Yep.
We now have Birthing Pod on a stick. Whee!
Yeah. But it's good. I quite like Dovin perhaps a blue and white aggro deck, because this would fit potentially quite nicely into this. So like the mono white or the mono white splashing red for a little bit of Boros, like the decks we see in the Pro Tour. You play 1-drop on 2. Sorry, play 1-drop on 1 and then 2 1-drops on turn 2, and then turn 3 you could play this, and you've got 3 attackers.
Yeah, okay, straight up.
Well, that puts it straight to 7. It goes into that. Your opponent's sitting there thinking you've got a 3. You've just played a planeswalker and who's now ready to ultimate. Whilst the ultimate isn't going to necessarily win the game, they've then got to think about attacking you. And if they're attacking you, they're not doing anything about the board, all that power you've just put on the table necessarily. No. So it's interesting. And also, what I quite like about this is it does, even if you use it for the -1, that's still good because you made a 1/1 fly.
Yeah, I gain a life.
Yeah, so I think he could fit into a mono white splashing blue.
He's a very good player, especially at 3 mana as well. 3 mana is always the sweet spot for planeswalkers.
Definitely. So yeah, I think he's definitely one to watch, and I think he will definitely see play.
Oh yeah, no doubt. What about just looking next to him, right next to the Domri?
Oh, what, Chaosbringer?
Yeah.
So he's 4 mana, 5 loyalty, 1 green, 1 red, 2 generic, +1, add 1 red or green. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains Riot. So Riot is the ability to either, when the creature enters the battlefield, you can choose to give it a +1/+1 counter or haste. Yeah. -3, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creatures from among them and put them into your hand. That's pretty good. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then -8, you get an emblem with at the beginning of your end step. Create a 4/4 red and green beast creature with trample. So the ultimate is pretty, it's okay. And
making a 4/4 each turn is pretty good.
Yeah, it is good. I would be tempted just to go between plussing and minusing though.
Yeah.
I mean, worst case
-3 though, isn't it?
It is -3. But worst case scenario, you could go right on -3 and then plus it and then -3 again, and you've looked at 8 cards, potentially drawn 4 creatures and got some mana out of it.
Yeah, someone's rang the numbers. I think you need to run 26 creatures to hit 2 regularly. I can't remember the maths now, but yeah. It's basically, if you want it, it's an all-creature deck.
Thing is, I don't actually think of it like that, because I think of Vivian Reed, and I know you can get lands with Vivian Reed, but you look at the top 4 in this scenario, if you get 2, great, but you'd be happy with 1.
Yeah.
You know.
I would not.
No,
you would not be happy with 1.
It's got to be full value or...
I'd be like, only 1. Only 1 Carnage Tyrant.
Exactly. Yeah, I actually think Domri is not too bad.
I don't think he'll be great in Standard. I see people playing him though.
Yeah. I think Gruul in general, I don't want to talk about all the cards in particular because there's a couple of other ones we want to kind of get through. Yeah. But I think if you haven't already kind of done so already, anyone who's looking at the spoilers, you've got a really good smattering of creatures that are reasonably or aggressively costed, they have Riot. They're going to be really interesting control sort of hosers. I was talking about decks to play because we've got an upcoming RPTQ we're preparing for, and we're talking about that. And I said, I don't know if I would feel comfortable blundering into an unknown metagame with all these Riot creatures and Afterlife creatures with a control deck, because between decks that are resilient to sweepers with Afterlife and all these Riot hasty creatures, I'm not sure. So
well, you're unlikely to be playing control deck with a new format anyway, aren't you?
No, exactly.
Control players aren't sure what they're going to be facing, so therefore they can't prepare for it.
No, it's very true. Sometimes though, there might be a really obvious one. So one of the things which is going to lead me quite nicely to one of the cards I wanted to talk about, and that was Chaos Wrath. So a lot of the Orzhov cards are providing us with some really nice control cards, particularly in the Esper Shard. So Chaos Wrath is double white, double black, destroy all creatures. You gain life equal to the number of creatures you control that were destroyed this way. So it's basically a Wrath of God equivalent, but considering regenerate isn't really a thing in today's standard. So it's effectively the same thing, but for a much more difficult mana cost. The biggest thing is it gives the black-based control decks a better option than Ritual of Soot. For the disadvantage of having to play double white, double black, you've got a Wrath, an actual Wrath, rather than Ritual of Soot, which is just...
convert mana cost 3 or less, isn't it?
Yeah, convert mana cost 3 or less. And I've been sitting there before when people have been playing that card against me. Golden Demise, which is the -2/-2, and Ritual of Soot. And I'm sitting there with Wild Growth Walker and Ravenous Chupacabra in play.
Yeah.
And I'm just chuckling to myself saying, well, your sweeper only kills one of these. Whichever one you play. So I'm just like, yeah, go for it. You go nuts. You cast your 4 mana kill spell or your 3 mana kill spell.
So not killing Moldra Hulk.
No. No. But Chaos Wrath does. And I think this is going to put Esper in a really good space for new standard. So
can you fit that in a black, white and blue deck?
Yes.
Because I guess the mana will be quite good, I guess.
The mana will be significantly better because you can play as many shocks as you feel you can get away with in the colours that you want, because you're going to get Azorius colours now, blue-white. The blue-white one will be very...
Well, this games you like, you can play as many shocks as you want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's only creatures that you control.
Yeah.
So it depends on what the texture of your deck is. So if you're playing a more traditional control list, you
said earlier about going more of a creature deck way.
Yeah. Well, especially the Jeskai ones, they're playing quite a few dragons and drakes and things, so you absolutely could have some creatures in there. It'd be funny to play that out of vampires. If you're playing a black-white vampires deck, things start to get too real, and then you can just blow the world up with that.
Yeah.
Also, I thought was quite good, was one of the split cards in Orzhov, which was the Consecrate and Consume, which is the 2 mana, it's the split one, 2 mana, you can exile a card from a graveyard, draw a card, so at worst, you can cantrip. But for 4 mana, target player, that's 2 mana, 1 white, 1 black. Target player sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. You gain life equal to its power. So Carnage Tyrant has long been a bit of a bane for a lot of control decks. Obviously, between Settle the Wreckage and other sort of edict effects, it's not impossible to answer. But this sacrifice effect, or non-targeted removal, is just exactly what you need for Carnage Tyrant. Kill a Carnage Tyrant and gain 7 life. It's just...
Yeah, it kills Carnage Tyrant, but it'll also kill my Moldra Hulk, which I'll then bring back, and then get the land back on top to then bring more Moldra Hulks back.
Yep.
So yeah, it is a good card, but Moldra Hulk's better.
Well, obviously. So yeah, I that's my 2 cents for...
9 mana, 6.
For,
is it 6 or 7/7?
It's a 6/6. 9 mana, 6/6.
It's a 7/7 if you play, what's it called? Immortal Sun.
I do play it. It's in the sideboard.
You do play it. 7/7s.
That card is basically how you beat Golgari. Just
make your guys bigger.
Board stall and then play that.
Bigger and cheaper.
And it shuts off Vivian Reef, which is also nice. It's really good. That is really good in the matchup. So yeah, I think the Orzhov, there's a lot of power there in the Orzhov cards that are coming into standard. Create some interesting deck building with Esper. You've also got Mortify, which is the 3 mana kill spell, also enchant removal, which is good. I think that gives the control decks, if they're playing that, really good game against things like Experimental Frenzy or Hadana's Climb, which I'm not sure if you're already kind of increasing in price because there's a lot of +1/+1 counter synergy. Hardana's prime, something to watch out for with all the Simic stuff. So yeah, I think Esper's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, quite hot on Orzhov at the moment, obviously. Can we go to the card I segued to a while ago?
Yeah.
Birthing Pod on a Stick.
So where's
Prime Speaker Vannevar. Her. I've just noticed she's an elf ooze wizard. Is it male or female? I guess it doesn't matter. They can be whatever gender they want to be.
I'm sure they're all the genders, to be fair. If they're Simic, they're going to be every gender.
Yeah, she is an elf ooze wizard. So yeah.
Okay, talk us through the. Read us the card. Let us know why is this Birthing Pod on a Stick? Is it actually going to be good?
2 colours, 1 green, 1 blue, a 2/4 Birthing Pod. You have to tap it for it to be a Birthing Pod, but yes, Birthing Pod.
Okay, so sack a creature, and then you basically can get a creature with the next converted mana cost up.
Yeah, equal +1.
Equal +1
to the battlefield. So Birthing Pod was banned in Modern.
It's true. You couldn't Lava Coil Birthing Pod though.
No, to be fair, this is easier to kill because it's a creature, but it's having spells on creatures are good, or abilities on creatures are good.
They should have made this a elf ooze fish, because then you could have called it Birthing Pod.
I'd be like that, yeah.
I mean, they've got Jellyfish Hydra Beasts and so many more good.
I'm really liking the Simic creature types. They do make me chuckle.
They are so
Someone's put a lot of effort into them, and I'm very pleased.
Yeah, I love it. Galloping Lizrog. One thing I'm upset about with the Simic Frilled Mystic, the creature Elf Lizard Wizard, when it enters the battlefield, counter target spell, that should have been a Merfolk. Merfolk are like so nearly there, and I don't think they're getting what they need to just kind of be pushed over the top. So yeah,
maybe it was supposed to be Merfolk, but I thought it was too busted.
It's not too busted. They in a colour combination that doesn't have any removal, that is exactly the sort of thing you need.
Blue has removal, green has removal, blue has everything.
I disagree.
No.
It does have like things you can do like bounce, and green you've got to fight things, but you need creatures like to make that do a thing, like drawing a removal spell on an empty board, or drawing a thing that says you fight another creature with one of your creatures on an empty board is just really bad.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
They've still got it. They've still got it.
Okay. They've got bad removal. That's the problem. Okay, so I think the Prime Speaker Vannevar is cool. It's really fun. It's going to make Commander players really happy, but I don't think it's going to do enough in Standard. I'm saying that now. I think it's going to be fringe play.
How much mana was Birthing Pod? It was 4, but it was
Phyrexian.
1 Phyrexian mana, wasn't it?
Yes.
So technically 3.
And I believe the activated cost was Phyrexian too.
Yeah, but you still had to tap it.
It was an artifact, so you could do it immediately.
That is true. Yeah. So not as good then. Can you only do it at sorcery speed as well? I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's stipulated.
Yeah, same as this. Yeah.
Same as this one. It's a great card though, and I think it's nicely costed. I don't think it's because sometimes you see cards like this and they go like, "Oh, we'll make it 7 mana," and you're like, "Okay, well this card's never going to see play." But we'll see. It's
a risky one, I think. It could. Yeah. Is it easier to untap creatures than it is artifacts?
Well, as long as there's an eat a removal spell. I mean, if you're playing a deck that doesn't revolve solely around you doing the Birthing Pod, so if you're playing enough threats to the board, which you can do, like you could put this in a Merfolk shell, and that not be completely terrible, and they're killing other stuff, like this is fine. But my question is, what are you Birthing Podding? I don't think it's in very good colours for you to really get any benefits from sacrificing a creature. So what blue creatures really benefit from going to the graveyard? So maybe you'd need to pair it with blacks, and it's a Sultai, which is very doable.
That's the issue, isn't it? The creatures to what you're going to be ramping into. It's why Birthing Pod was Birthing Pod in the Standard? Was it played in Standard? It was definitely.
Oh, I can't remember.
It was more modern. It was more modern, wasn't it, than Standard? And that's good because you've got bigger diversity of creatures. You can play a lot of good one-offs, and that's your toolkit to get them out.
Yep.
Prime Speaker for 4 mana in Modern is too slow, so you'd have to make it cheaper. She is an elf. So maybe you play it in an elf deck, but yeah, and you'd have to give a haste somehow.
Oh, I tell you what, actually, you could play Sultai Elves, just splashing blue for this one thing, because there is a green-black or green-white elf list floating around. I don't know if you've played it on Arena, and it's not a terrible deck. I mean, there is a decent enough amount of elves to actually play this. And this late in the game, coupled with something like Midnight Reaper, could be a good way. I mean, a board state where you might have a Llanowar Elf in play and a Midnight Reaper and this, you can sacrifice your elf and get your 2/2 Elf Lord instead, and you've drawn a card for the privilege. That seems pretty good. So I think there might be some interesting things you could do with it, but I don't think there's... I think the problem with it is it's kind of like, oh, what can you tutor? What can you tutor? Because you whereas in Modern, you've got, like you say, you've got meaningful things you can get. Whereas this,
you've got a lot more options.
Yeah, like what you're tutoring, you're kind of like, oh, I just got the next thing up. Like there's no... If you had some sort of persist mechanic or Undying, that might be good, because obviously you've bonus or an advantage to sacking a creature. Whereas at the moment, you need to pair it with something like Midnight Reaper to really kind of feel any benefit. So that's why I don't think it's going to do anything.
Yeah, I think Standard and Modern is going to be tougher to make a breakthrough. But the fact that it's a legendary creature, I think it's got very high commander appeal.
Oh, 100%. I think it might probably maintain a high price, or at least a reasonable price. Like you say, it's a legend, it's in popular colour pair, and it's an awesome creature type, and it's a mythic. It's got everything going for it.
And talking about Commander, the other card that's very good or interesting for Commander is Tessa Karlov.
Oh, yes, you said about Tessa. So what am I missing with Tessa?
So Black-White has very few great commanders just in that colour combination to direct you in what to do.
Yep.
So she's also a legendary creature. She's two colours, one white, one black. Ability is if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, which is awesome. But an additional to that is creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink.
Okay.
So it's quite a nice ability for a commander general to have. Lots of things you can do with triggered abilities happening, especially commander, things you want to duplicate, but also the sweet bonus of the tokens, having a token generating deck which may trigger you more tokens off the double ability.
Yep.
Having vigilance and lifelink, very sweet.
Isn't there that white? Could you do something? You could do... Oh, there's that white card in Amonkhet, isn't there? The doubling season, but in white with tokens.
Anointed Procession.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that work?
So that's whenever a token enters the battlefield, you get twice as many.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, if you have a creature with Afterlife and you kill it, it triggers twice, so you get 2 tokens, and then each token produces 2 tokens.
Yeah. So it quadruples the number of tokens.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, if you had that and Anointed Procession, it goes a bit crazy. And then they all have vigilance and lifelink.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of fun things for that. But it also triggers, it doesn't have to be token stuff. Stuff like Blood Artist triggers would double off that as well.
Ooh, sweet. I do like Blood Artist.
I really should put it in my zombie deck, but it's not a zombie, so it's not going in. Don't care.
Nah.
Not going in.
You need zombies in your zombie deck.
I do.
Okay, so I think the final thing we should talk about, we could talk all day about these, was the burn spell, which...
Yes, this is the important one we need to talk about.
Yeah. This is like modern playable, is it?
It's modern playable, yeah. So 2 colourless, 1 red, deals 3 damage to any target. Sorcery speed, so actually not modern playable. However, it has spectacle. So for 1 red, you may cast a spell for its spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent lost life this turn. So basically, more lightning bolts for your mono red modern decks.
I don't think it's that much of a downside either, really. Sometimes you end up paying 3 for a Rift Bolt.
Yeah.
It's not got the same flexibility of being able to be played, suspended on turn 1 like a Rift Bolt. It's quite awkward if you've got... Actually, it's not that awkward, because you could suspend Rift Bolt on turn 1, turn 2 they get bolted, and then you bolt them with this. Its
only downside is if you're getting to the end game, the red players top deck him, and they draw this, but they've unlucky enough to only draw 2 land. But if that's the case, they've probably won anyway.
Yeah, if you've only drawn 2 lands, then you've probably drawn a shed ton of other... Yeah, unless you've drawn like all 4 of your Skewer the Critics and you're just looking really sad at your hand.
Yeah, but the conversation I was reading today was about what should be cut for this. I think the verdict was currently Searing Blaze.
Oh, I suppose you need to test it, like how cause sometimes Searing Blaze is just so clutch, because you just... you kill a thing and bolt them, and it's just...
Yeah, but Searing Blaze is it's a 1 damage unless you've got landfall, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does Searing Blaze, do they have to have a creature on the battlefield in order for it to hit? Yes. Or can you still do damage to their face?
You have to have a creature. That's the downside.
So I think that takes that place quite easy. Well, whatever you're playing a deck that's not got a creature on board.
You're just right about that, and you just go, right, fine, I'll just put my Searing Blazes in the sideboard.
I don't know if I'm right, but that's what I've heard. I don't really play Modern or Red Deck. If I did play Modern, I probably would play Red Deck Green, because then the rounds finish quickly.
It still kills a creature, so you can still use it to point at your opponents. It's just, you don't have the...
Yeah, this does play if you need it. Any target, lightning bolt.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say game changer. It's just gives Mono Red more ammunition, really, to do what they want to do. Burn your face off.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's a good way of summing it up, because it's not changing what Burn's doing fundamentally, and it's not necessarily giving it anything more broken.
Oh, can we talk about one more card? It does go and just give the critics.
Yeah, go for it.
And that is Pestilent Spirit.
Oh, yes.
2 colours, 1 black, 3/2, minutes with Death Touch. Over your instants and sorcery spells you control have Death Touch. So a little thread started in our Facebook group yesterday, and someone posted going, oh, look, shock kills everything in standard with this card. Yay! So I came back with, dual shot kills 2 creatures. To which someone one up to me and went, well, what's it called? Is it Cosmic Wave?
Cosmotronic Wave, yeah.
Cosmotronic Wave kills our whole board.
Love it.
But it's 4 mana, which I thought was cheating.
No, if that's what you're in the market for with that deck, then have at it, because people will not be expecting it necessarily. Or even if they are, what are they going to do about it? You just killed the whole board. And it's hilarious. I also want to remind people that now that you kind of brought up a whole like pingy Death Touch type thing, one of the things that we talked about before was Goblin Chain Whirler and
Golgari split card.
The Golgari split card, yeah.
Target creature +1/+1 Death Touch, you're saying, is it?
Yes, status statue.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
Yeah. So now we've got red, green, and red, black mana bases. If Chain Whirler is in the format in a black/green sort of base deck, that could be a thing.
It doesn't work with Pestilent Spirit.
No, I'm just saying, like, now you've got the land. Like, you talking about the pinging of that 2-card combo, it's just reminded me that this combo exists in Standard.
Everyone talked about that, though, but nothing happened from it. Nothing came of that.
No, and nothing might also just happen again. You know, it might just be like, oh, no, it's not going to do anything. But
I think if you're playing red, black, and green, then you're not playing a triple red spell.
No, and that might just be the case. But it might be that you're playing red, black, or red, green, and you're playing the pump spell, and maybe you can, you're just having that for that trick. I mean, if that is a good enough thing on its own, then maybe they're doing it. Like if you've got enough first striking creatures, but then I don't know, maybe it's just not good enough. I just thought it was interesting to just mention it again, because you can still do that.
This is true. Sorry to raid on your parade.
That's all right. No, you can't
do that.
No, it's terrible. Why would you do it? I wouldn't mind a Jund deck being good. I think there's plenty of interesting cards.
I'd love for Junds if he did again. Yeah. I like Jund.
Jund's great, and there's plenty of riot creatures. You've got Bedevil, the kill spell in black and red that kills artifacts as well, and planeswalkers. So like heroic downfall, but a red version.
What we're talking about? Sorry.
Bedevil, 3 mana, so it's 2 black, 1 red. Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Instant speed, which is quite interesting.
Very, very helpful. Yeah, it's probably one to look out for. We only covered a few that have piqued our interest, but there's a lot of good cards in the set.
There is. My final parting thing will be, don't just trade away your rare removal. Rare removal and like Wrath effects. That's my pro tip. It's good. Like cards like Vraska's Contempt, like looking at now, like you want to make sure you get that kind of card early, because they're just good. Like I don't think they printed like rare removal like Bedevil, Vraska's Contempt style effects, which just doesn't end up seeing play in some capacity.
And favourite card of the set, Humongous.
Oh,
that's it. Just leave it at that. Take a look it up.
If you haven't seen that card yet, just find it and look at it, and what a card. So that is all for now from us. Thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for more.
Always a pleasure. Take care.
Bye. You got a new headset?
Yeah, my brother bought me one for Christmas.
Oh, hero.
I don't know where the mic is though.
Well, I I can hear. I can definitely hear you.
There's no mic.
I don't think that's true.
Hang on, go have a look.
Must be a mic.
Right, no idea where the mic's supposed to be.